Imagine a clock that doesn't tick-tock, that flows like time itself. Imagine a mechanism that combines the best of both worlds, mechanical tradition and quartz precision. But it is not hybrid. It is something else, something unique. For years, the Swiss said it was impossible, but a group of Japanese engineers achieved it, quietly, deep within the Seiko laboratories. And the result is so perfect, so poetic, that some say it should not exist. Today, I will tell you the story, the workings, and the secrets of the spring drive, the Japanese obsession with perfection. Japan does not compete in watchmaking. Japan transforms it, elevates it, spiritualizes it. While Switzerland clung to tradition and prestige, the Japanese engineers at Seiko pursued something else, the truth of time. But not as a number, rather as an experience, as something that is felt. In the 1960s, Seiko had already demonstrated its ambition. It created the first Japanese mechanical chronometer that competed in Neuchâtel, the Swiss sanctuary of precision. And it not only participated, it achieved scores that frightened many. But the real earthquake came in 1969 with the Seiko Astron, the world's first quartz watch. It was so precise, so revolutionary, that it changed the industry forever. Many call it the beginning of the Swiss quartz crisis. But here is where the truly important part comes in. Seiko was not satisfied, because yes, quartz was more accurate, but it lacked soul. The engineers at Seiko, especially a young visionary named Yoshikazu Akahane, did not want to choose between emotion or precision. They wanted both. They wanted a movement that maintained mechanical beauty, that visual heartbeat, that art without electronics, but could achieve the precision of a digital watch without the need for batteries. An almost impossible idea. Almost. Because for the Japanese, time is not a countdown. It is a flow, a cycle, a natural harmony. Thus began one of the most ambitious quests in watchmaking history, to create a movement that flowed like time itself. A mechanism that did not tick-tock, but rather glided like a drop of water falling down a bamboo leaf. Something silent, perfect, alive. They didn't want more accuracy. They wanted harmony with the universe. For almost 30 years, they worked in silence, without market pressure, without commercial deadlines. In a discreet corner of Seiko's laboratories in Japan, Akahane and his team challenged the laws of time, physics, and tradition. The result? A creation that Akahane himself dreamed of, designed, but did not live to see completed. Because perfection is not in a hurry, it only has purpose. What is the spring drive? When one sees a watch with spring drive for the first time, something doesn't add up. The second hand doesn't jump, doesn't vibrate, doesn't tick. It glides silently, as if it were floating. That hypnotic fluidity, that almost magical way of moving, is no coincidence. It is the direct consequence of a revolutionary idea. To create a movement that eliminates error, that does not interrupt time, but accompanies it. But how does it really work? Unlike traditional mechanical watches, the spring drive has no escapement. There is no anchor, no escape wheel releasing energy and impulses. Instead, we find a unique invention, the Tri-Synchro Regulator. This system, designed by Seiko after decades of research, regulates the energy of the mainspring. Yes, it is a mechanical winding watch, but it does so with the help of electromagnetism and a quartz oscillator. And this is where the technical magic happens. First, as in every mechanical watch, the mainspring is wound and gradually releases energy as it unwinds. That energy is transmitted through a gear train that moves the hands. But at the end of the train, there is no escape wheel dividing the movement into ticks. There is something radically different. A rotor, very similar to that of an electric generator. This rotor constantly spins and generates a small electric current, enough to power a quartz oscillator. That quartz vibrates at an ultra-stable frequency and tells the system what speed the gear train should have. Then, an integrated circuit activates an electromagnetic brake that smoothly regulates the rotor's speed. There is no physical contact, no wear, just magnetic friction controlled with surgical precision. The result? A second hand that never stops, an accuracy of plus or minus 1 second per day, and a visual sensation you can't stop watching. What you see is not magic, it's high-level physics applied to the art of time. But the most impressive thing of all is this. There is no battery. Everything works thanks to the energy stored in the spring, like a mechanical watch, but taken to another level. Spring drive is a paradox that works, mechanical but regulated by electronics, with quartz but without a battery, ultra-precise but with an artisanal soul. It is a watch that does not tick, it breathes. And that fluid, silent, constant movement is the unmistakable signature that you are in the presence of something that does not belong to this world of impulses and noise. You are looking at the only watch that truly flows with time. How does it work technically? Now that you know what makes it special, let's get into how it makes it possible, because the most incredible thing about the spring drive is not just its smoothness, it's how it achieves that fluidity without breaking with mechanical tradition. It all starts like in any mechanical watch, with a real spring, also called a mainspring. That small spiral cylinder stores energy when you wind the crown, or when the rotor spins in an automatic model. But from there, the story changes completely. The mainspring releases its energy gradually. That energy passes through the gear train, a series of gears that reduce speed and distribute the impulse to move the hands. Up to this point, we are on familiar ground. But in a traditional watch, that energy ends in an escapement system. The escape wheel, the anchor pallet, and the balance wheel, which set the rhythm through intermittent impulses. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Spring drive breaks that rule. Instead of an escapement, it has a revolutionary component, the glide wheel. This wheel does not oscillate. It rotates continuously and quickly, and it does so within a magnetic field. What happens then? First, when the wheel turns, it generates a tiny electric current, like a dynamo. It doesn't need a battery, it's purely mechanical energy converted into electricity. Second, that current powers a quartz oscillator that vibrates exactly 32,768 times per second, as in traditional quartz watches. Third, the integrated circuit compares the actual speed of the glide wheel with the frequency of the quartz, and if it detects that it is going faster than it should, it activates an electromagnetic brake. This brake does not physically touch anything. It uses a magnetic field to slow down the wheel with extreme precision, as if an invisible finger were gently touching the energy, keeping it always in balance. It is a perfect dance between three types of energy: mechanical energy from the spring, electrical energy from the generator, magnetic force from the brake. That is why it is called Tri-Synchro Regulator, because it synchronizes mechanical, electrical, and electromagnetic in a single beat. And that beat does not sound, does not strike, it slides. It is the only watch that can measure up to nature because it moves like it, like the waves, like the wind, like the passage of real time without interruptions. This whole process occurs in silence. So silent that even the watchmakers working at Grand Seiko say it is a watch that is felt more than heard. And so, within a titanium steel body hidden under a sapphire crystal, Seiko achieved the impossible. A watch that never misses a beat. A mechanism that respects the art of classic watchmaking but propels it into a new dimension. The soul of Grand Seiko. The spring drive is not just an engineering achievement. It is the beating heart of a deeply Japanese philosophy, the respect for nature, time, and imperceptible beauty. When Grand Seiko decided to adopt the spring drive as one of its emblems, it did so not just for precision, but because this movement represents a way of seeing the world. In Japan, time is not measured only in seconds. It is felt in the seasons, in the way a leaf falls, in how the mist dissipates over Mount Fuji, in the transience of the perfect. That is why the watches that incorporate the spring drive are not mere instruments. They are poetic manifestos. Models like the Snowflake, SBGA211, do not bear that name by chance. Their dial mimics the smooth and regular pattern of freshly fallen snow on the Japanese Alps. That white, delicate, and deep texture subtly changes with the light, just like snow at dawn. The white birch, for its part, evokes the birch forest surrounding the studio where it is made. Each groove, each stroke of the dial, is an artistic interpretation of the silver trunks swaying in the wind. And without anyone noticing, the second hand flows like a breeze among the trees. The nature of time collection takes this vision even further. Inspired by elements like the night sky, mist, water, or cherry blossoms, each piece is a window to a fleeting moment of the natural world. And at the center of them all, beating calmly, is the spring drive. It does not push time, it does not interrupt it, it accompanies it. You are not looking at a watch, you are seeing the passage of time turned into art. Why is it considered the best in the world? At this point, the question is inevitable. Is the spring drive the best movement in the world? And the answer for many is a resounding yes, but not due to technical arrogance, rather because of balance. Precision, plus or minus 1 second per day, without the need for a battery, without satellite connections, without GPS. Durability. By not having a traditional escapement, there is less friction, less wear, less maintenance. Total silence. No ticking, no electronic buzzing. Just silence. Shock resistance. By eliminating oscillating parts like the balance wheel, the spring drive is more stable against impacts. Unmatched aesthetics. That fluid movement does not exist in any other watch. It is hypnotic, soothing, alive. Moreover, it is an achievement that even Switzerland has not been able to replicate. More than 20 years have passed since its commercial launch, and still no Swiss brand has achieved a comparable movement. Why? Because the spring drive not only requires technology, it requires conviction, patience, philosophy, and above all, a different vision of time. If Rolex is status and Patek is tradition, spring drive is perfection. Personal opinion. I'm going to tell you something personal. The first time I saw a spring drive in person, I didn't understand what was happening. I had seen hundreds of automatic quartz, digital watches, but this was different. It didn't move. It floated. It was as if time stopped being a succession of seconds and became a calm river flowing unhurriedly to nowhere. Since that day, I no longer see watches the same way. Now I know that time can be felt, not just measured, that there is another way to live it, more slowly, more harmoniously, more consciously. And that is what the spring drive represents. It does not aim to be the most expensive or the most ostentatious. It aims to be the most faithful to time as it truly is. A spring drive is not bought for fashion. It is chosen when you understand that time is sacred. Tell me in the comments if you already knew about this movement or if there is any Grand Seiko model that has captivated you. Would you like to own one someday? And if you have enjoyed this journey through the beauty of time, subscribe, as there are still many stories to discover, those that don't mark the hours but do leave a mark.